And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we're talking about safety Jeremy Reaves signing a one-year extension. And then we're also going to be talking about what Laremy Tunsil had to say about the offensive line for the Washington Commanders that has us excited to see them play this season. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Zach Ertz, and many others for multiple touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. And let's start with Jeremy Reaves signs a one-year extension to remain with the Washington Commanders. And so if you want to read about this, you can go over to Commanders Wire. It has a very nice clip with him talking to the press, and also to a very nice clip and just getting a chance to hear what Jeremy Reaves had to say as far as just being grateful to be with the Washington Commanders another season. And so this is what he had to say within that article if you go over to Commanders Wire here. And so he says, look, when I first got here, everything that I went through, all the tough days I went through, I got a chance to talk to AP and DQ before practice and just tell them it's nice just to be wanted and feel like what I do matters. Then he also said, I'm filled with gratitude. I was just talking to some young guys and telling them, if you take anything from me, just understand that the turtle does win the race. And so I love that quote from Jeremy Reaves, and I just love the fact that the Washington Commanders take care of business here with Jeremy Reaves, because he's been huge for this team. And so I think that when you look at his impact as a special teams player, that means everything for the Washington Commanders. I've talked about this before with special teams and the ability to flip the field. And so he's been terrific there, and he's a captain. And so that's what you love about this with Jeremy Reaves, because when you're looking at just what a symbol is to be a Commander, it is Jeremy Reaves. It's what he does on and off the field that you love. And this is what it's about as far as being a part of the Washington Commanders. And so I love the fact that he has literally fought his way to this position. You're talking about a player that was undrafted in 2018 to go on to become a Pro Bowler in 2023, and also to make an All-Pro team as well in 2023. And so that is huge for him. And to be a special teams ace, like I said before, that is a huge part of this football team. And just over his career, 128 total tackles. He's had 5 passes defended. He's had 1 INT, 1 forced fumble in 64 games and 11 starts here. And so the question now for Jeremy Reaves is, can he be more of an impact on the defensive side of the ball? Because it wasn't bad for him last season. He did get his forced fumble last year, but 20 total tackles. He had 9 solos. He had 11 assists. And then, like I said, he had the 1 forced fumble. But the question is, can Jeremy Reaves get a little bit more snaps here defensively? And so it's going to be tough, especially from that safety position, and then also too from that secondary in general. I think that is probably one of the more competitive areas here on this team. But Jeremy Reaves, glad to see that he has come back, and it's just great to see that the Commanders have brought him back. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into Laremy Tunsil and what Laremy Tunsil had to say that definitely has us excited for this upcoming season. And so got a chance to see this clip. It was online, and also too, I went over to the article that I'm going to show here from Commanders Wire, where you can see a little clip of it or snippet of it, because in this particular clip, he's talking about Josh Conerly Jr. But in the bigger clip, he's talking about some other stuff too as well. And so I'm going to paraphrase that before we go into what he had to say here about Josh Conerly Jr. And so again, just paraphrasing this, you can probably head over online, YouTube or whatnot, and type in this interview that he did. This was, I believe, Thursday here at the end of the mandatory minicamp. But sounds like he's excited for the fresh start. He talked about how he loved the environment and the energy. And I think that that's something that really collectively you hear across the board for this team, is the energy, and then also to the environment that the Washington Commanders have. And I really think that is a huge reason why this team has really flipped things just around in the right direction. Because just being a fan of this team, for seasons and years, it just didn't have that same type of energy. And so it's just great to see that you have a player that has been traded for, and he's telling you that the energy and the environment is at a high level. And so I love that. One of the other things that he mentions is he talks about the high energy with the coaches. I thought it was funny because he's like, man, I just want to know what coffee you guys are drinking and stuff like that, jokingly. But he's talking about the high energy that, he gets from the coaches. And so that is another aspect that I just love in seeing this team, is just the energy that you do get from the coaching staff, and it just trickles down through everything. And I think that that same energy is in the front office as well. And so again, just loving to hear that you have a guy that is coming in from another team that is really affirming that just the culture has changed with this team, which is why you feel great about the direction of this team and heading into this next season. And so the next thing that he talks about here is he talks about Josh Conerly Jr. And this is why I think you just get super excited for what this offensive line can do this season. And so bringing this back up once again, you can read this on Commander's Wire, and you can also go to the clip as well. And so within this article, and I am definitely just going to be paraphrasing a little bit of this because I want to keep it PG on the show, but he's talking, and then he says, I'm really impressed. You know who I'm really impressed with, though? And it's a question mark, and then he stops, and then he's saying that to a reporter, and he says JC, so he's referring to Josh Conerly, and he said JC is going to be a dog. I'm not just saying that to blow smoke up his. JC is going to be a dog, man. I can't wait to see it. So again, keeping it PG, you guys can also go over to this article and you can see exactly what he said as well. But I love that. I love the fact that you have Laremy Tunsil coming over and just really going ahead and giving this type of just endorsement to Josh Conerly Jr. And so he goes on to say that, look, he is just really impressed with the athleticism. He talked about his bends, excuse me. And then he says that he has the tools to be a darn good player. And so he actually says a damn good player, but still, I love that about Laremy Tunsil coming over and saying that smart, athletic, has the tools to be a great player, and just talking about just the bend that he's showing and everything else. And so, I'm really impressed with Josh Conerly Jr. so far as what I'm seeing with the clips and things like that. I think now I'm super excited to see what happens when the pads come on and then training camp starts. I think that that'll be like another stepping stone, not just for him, but I think a lot of the other rookies as well, because Trey Amos, like we've been talking about, just the things that we've been hearing about that too as well. And so I think now the next step is when they put on pads and they're going full go in these practices and stuff like that. Do we still see that same type of, just flashes and things like that? But this is huge because this is, I think, one of the things that certainly Adam Peters wanted to address coming into this season was getting better in front of Jaden Daniels. And so when you have Laremy Tunsil, a Pro Bowler, telling you this about a young rookie that you've drafted in the first round, that is huge to hear. And I cannot wait to see and when this offensive line actually puts it all together, because I think that they are going to compete their tails off in the training camp as far as trying to get to the positionings and everything else. But this is a team that I think they're going to take a step forward there, because with Laremy Tunsil and his veteran presence, it's almost like he's seen just about all the type of, defensive schemes and like pass rushers and stuff like that you can probably imagine. And so the fact that he's able to pass that down to a Josh Conerly Jr. or Brandon Coleman or whoever else is on the offensive line, it's almost like that you get the answer to what's coming at you already before you even get tested like that. And so I cannot wait to see what this offensive line is going to do, because they're going to be huge in protecting Jaden Daniels. They're also going to be huge as far as keeping the running game going, because we know that running game is going to be impactful for the Washington Commanders this season. It has to be. This team will have to dominate, I think, in the time of possession, especially if they want to get to their biggest goal, which is winning the Super Bowl. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking as far as your biggest key takeaway here. Are you Really excited to hear what Laremy Tunsil had to say about Josh Conerly Jr. and the fact that he's excited with the energy and the coaches here with the Commanders. And also, too, what do you guys think about Jeremy Reaves and then the fact that he has come from such a humble beginning, just being an undrafted free agent in 2018. He was there when Coach Ron Revere was there, and obviously he's now with the new coaching staff and the new front office and everything else, and he's still impactful, and he's got an extension with the Washington Commanders. And so I think that that's huge. I'm hoping that he's able to get onto the field a little bit more defensively out there. But again, I know we're loaded back there at safety and then also too in the secondary. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But you guys let me know what you guys are thinking about this 1-year extension, and then also to what Laremy Tunsil had to say. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.